All right. Okay, welcome back. We are ACI Course 8, Class 3 on March 30th, 2025. All those threes, that's kind of cool. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Studying karma and emptiness, we glimpse how it's possible. And so we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world They are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total enlightenment for the benefit of every single other. Last class, we learned that the location of the formless realm can be found 2 degrees south of the planet Pluto, right? No, the other way, behind Pluto, right? No, someplace else. Tricky, right? You could really get me on that one. No, how is the formless found? Yeah, Ross?
There's just no separate place. So when the person dies and if he practiced the meditation in the lifetime, then he will be just born immediately at the formless realm if he
Yeah,
meditated
nice.
well in this life.
Good.
So
It's
no separate
nowhere,
place. No.
right? No specific place. And then did you read the answer key? The answer key said they appear there with their 4 heaps.
Yes. The
And
form is missing, right?
form is missing. Exactly. But even as I was hearing myself explain that to you, there's no form there. To be honest with you, I didn't have like that idea of what comes to mind when I read they have the 4 heaps. Like I don't know, do you feel that? It feels different to say a being is there with 4 of the heaps. They're just missing the form. Like I wasn't thinking they have feeling, they have discriminating, they have all the other factors that make them up, and they have consciousness. I was thinking they just had consciousness. So I don't know about you, but they've got these other 3 also. They just don't have form, meaning they don't have this form, but it also means they don't have this form either, right? No personal heap of form, but no outer form either. Maybe that'll help understand formless realm a little better, that there really is a life there. It's not just awareness happening. Now, how that works, I don't quite understand still, because we relate to how outer objects of the form realm trigger all the rest of these. And how do they get triggered if there's no thing to trigger them? Which is a clue, actually, that those things aren't what triggers the other. So anyway, then we learned there were 4 levels of the formless realm. And your quiz asked you for the name of them: limitless space, limitless awareness, nothing at all, and peak of existence. And then it asked you, how does one reach any one of those 4? And we learned that they would be the karmic result of the causes made by certain types of meditative concentration, that those moments in meditative concentration would plant the seeds in our mind, that if those seeds ripened as our next lifetime, would ripen as the being in that level, that formless realm level. So short version was 4 different levels of deep meditation that create the seeds that would direct us to that kind of an experience in a future lifetime. So we don't want to do those meditations because we don't want the seeds to land us in the formless realm. Thank you very much. If your goal is Buddhahood, we don't get to Buddhahood from the formless realm. So 3rd quiz question: what provides the basis for the stream of the mind in the formless realm? And we learned there were like 3 different explanations for that, but the highest school's explanation was the continuum of me throughout its lifetime is the basis for the continuum of me in the formless realm. And I think you could go on to say that that's true for any realm that we end up in, the continuation of me. And I interpret that as meaning the subject side of every experience that then gets imprinted as a seed that has a subject side. And it's that, so you're always going to have a subject side with every ripening, because you always have a subject side with every planting, because you can't plant a seed in your mind without having a subject side aware of something. And you, the subject side, are always aware. So it's like, it's an important piece to understand deeply, but the words just scratch the surface. So our me is what goes into the formless realm, and our me is what keeps us there. And it's our me that actually drags us out and puts us somewhere else as well, but not a separate me doing something because it wants to, right? It's the continuation in every seed of the me. All right, that's clear. And then 4, what were the 4 ways of taking birth? To be born miraculously, but meaning complete. To be born from warmth and moisture. Like that's happened in our kitchen recently. We put our stuff to be composted into the Vitamix container, and it all sits there till the Vitamix container is full, and then I dump it into the compost pile. So we go all winter with no bugs in the Vitamix thing. And today I lift the lid and out flies a fly. And it's like, a minute. Where did that fly come from? It hadn't been there since last September. And all of a sudden, just the right temperature, just the right, yeah. And it's like I cleaned the thing in between birth by warmth and moisture. Circumstances are just right and back fly. Now he's in the house. Womb birth and egg birth. 4 different ways to take birth. Okay, got it? Everybody get 100% on their quiz? No doubt. Let's go on to class 3. The topic of class 3 is craving spirits and animals. And I have a whole lot of Tibetan for you for this class. Matter. Can't get my guys to get bigger. There's that one. That one. Got it. All righty. So the material from this class comes from a different text. We've been studying Abhidharma Kosha, but for some reason, Geshe Michael chose to use this other text for this information. So the text we're using is Lamrim Chenmo, but he wants us to know about a text called the Tenrim Chenmo. Tenrim Chenmo. Den is the word for teaching. We know Rim Chenmo, great book on the steps of the teachings. So this predates Jetsun Kappa as Lamrim Chenmo. The Denrim Chenmo was taught or was written by someone named Geshe Drolungpa, a Tibetan. He's in the 1100 ADs. He's amongst those Kadampas that some of us have been talking about. A group of practitioners that were more practice-oriented than intellectual study, write things down, give teachings oriented. But fortunately, this one fellow was inspired to write this huge volume on Lord Buddha's sequential path from suffering being to fully enlightened being. Geshe, the word Geshe back in the 1100s meant spiritual friend. Kalyana Mitra in Sanskrit. I didn't write that. Kalyana Mitra. Got it. Spiritual friend. Drolungpa means the guy from the area called Drolung. So this is the spiritual friend, the guy from Drolung. So it's not actually his name, but that's what he's called. So everybody knows him in this way, right? Like calling me that lady teacher from Tucson, like this. So he writes this amazing book, and Jetsun Kappa's reading it. And he's so impressed with it. And he's talking to Manjushri about it. Won't that be nice? and Manjushri apparently like gives him the instruction, let's write another one. Like, let's update it a little bit, maybe. And so Jetson Kappa writes what comes to be the Lamrim Chemo. It's not a commentary on the Tenrim Chemo. It's like a rewrite. But it's not that there was anything necessarily wrong with the Tenrim Chemo. Right? It's just Lord Manjushri said, let's do another version. So they say Jetsun Kappa was taking dictation from Manjushri. I don't know. We know Lama Tsongkhapa's dates, they always go with his name, 1357 to 1419. So a couple hundred years after Geshe Drolungpa. So in both of those texts, there are information that helps us gain insight into what it is to be or become a craving spirit and how one becomes an animal. And it's these details of the karmic consequence that I think was not in the Abhidharma Kosha, which is why Geshe-la switched texts. So again, what we're studying from is the Lamrim Chemo. The Lamrim Chemo is a rewrite of the Tenrim Chemo. Righty. So Yidak is the Tibetan word for hungry ghost. Sanskrit, it's preta. I hear when Geshe Michael talks about these things, he tends to use preta more than Yidak. And then there's another Tibetan word, Yidam. I'll write it. Although it isn't part of this class, so I'm going to write it and then erase it. Yidam, which is the word for like one's personal deity. So don't confuse Yidak with Yidam, right? Yidam is your fully enlightened being that's looking after you. Yidak is a hungry ghost, craving spirit, right? So the Tenrim Shenpo says that there's 4 main causes for birth as a Yidak, a craving spirit. 1, like general cause, and then 3 specific causes. Not meaning you need the general cause plus a specific. Any one of them will do the job. You'll see when I tell you what they are. The general cause for taking rebirth as a Yidak is sorry, I don't have the Tibetan. Wait, don't look at this yet. Look at Yidak, but not the rest. So the general cause for becoming a Yidak in some future life is doing any one or more of the 10 non-virtues at medium strength. Any one of the 10 non-virtues at medium strength. The seed for that, if that's the seed that pops at the moment of a death, that seed colors ourself as next life craving spirit. So, yeah, you could do one act of lying, in this medium way. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And have one seed for that in all your eons of lifetimes. And it could be the one that pops. But the likelihood, because we've got trillions of other seeds for other things, is not that it's going to be it. Are you getting the idea? So for the doing one of the 10 non-virtues with this medium strength, it would have to have happened enough that we have many seeds for it, so that one of those seeds had a greater likelihood of being the one that, right, is the lottery ball that comes out. So I don't want to give the wrong idea. It's like one little non-virtue done medium one time and you're doomed. It's not like that. But we have that seed. So, unless we do something to make it so it cannot ever be the projecting karma, it's a possibility. Like that's where we're going with all of these classes in this topic is that, is it likely one time would make your whole rebirth? No, but it's possible. Okay. So what does it mean, the 10, any one of the 10 non-virtues? It means specifically that killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, useless speech, craving, but really coveting. I mean, really that being upset with somebody else's success or having something, upset with someone else's happiness. And then ill will, kind of happy with somebody else's unfortunateness. And then wrong view, which is not believing in karma as cause and effect and not believing in future lifetimes, because then there's no reason to avoid doing any of those behaviors. So any of those behaviors done with medium strength. So what does it mean, medium strength? So first, to do any of those behaviors with light strength means, oh, we do them now and then, but and those 4 steps that are the 4 parts of a path of action, the 4 parts that make a karmic seed planted strongly, there's not all 4 are there. In fact, they're kind of sloppily there at all. So just to refresh our memory, those 4 paraphrased are, a clear intention of what we're going to do, what we intend to do, what we want to do, correct thinking about it, doing the deed, and then the completion of the deed, being satisfied, happy, willing, intending to do it again, right? Those 4 factors. So for a light deed of lying, for instance, it wasn't intended. It just slipped out, habitual way of wiggling out of some problem. You weren't really clear that you were doing it at the time until after the fact. And oh my gosh, I just exaggerated. You're not happy that you did it, right? There is just, but you did do the deed. That's light, a seed planted, but in this light way, which means it'll be easy to damage. Would take a whole lot more of something similar to add enough strength to it for it to ever get over the threshold to manifestation. Yeah. Of course, repeatedly doing it is what adds to the power. And that's what moves it from a light deed to medium or higher. So light is, you get the idea. Heavy doing of any of the 10 non-virtues means you have all 4 of those parts strong. You intended to lie to that person. You had it all planned out. Like you were thinking clearly about who you're lying to, why you're going to lie, the result you're intending to get, right? You've got the lie all worked out. You go and do it, and you're happy you did it, and you're ready to do it again, right? Same deed, lie, only now it's powerfully planted. So somewhere in between those 2, You didn't probably intend to do it. But once you're getting ready, you understand and you go ahead for some reason. At the end of it, it's like, yeah, that was really the right thing to do. Maybe. Maybe at the end, it's like, ooh, that wasn't so smart. I regret it. Right? But it's not full on like a strong planting, and it's not like a oops, the light one, somewhere in between. If you think karmically, well, never mind, I won't go there yet. So let me go back. The general cause for becoming craving spirit is this doing any one of the 10 non-virtues or any of the 10 non-virtues in this medium way. Right? It's enough that if one of those seeds pops at just the right or wrong time, the next thing we know is we are craving spirit being. Now, the three specific attitudes that will also land us there. This is this Tibetan. The three are, hang on. Jimpa Nam Summa Jimpa. Here it is. Jimpa Nam Summa Jimpa is one. Serna is second, is a second one. Chakdok is a third one. Jimpa Nam Summa Jimpa. Jimpa means giving. Ma Jimpa means not giving. Nam Sum means the three kinds. So failing to give the three types of giving, plant seeds that can ripen as our perception of ourself as a hungry ghost. Like this one, karmically, we can kind of see how it fits. A hungry ghost, well, we'll get there. So what are the three kinds of giving so that we know not to fail to give them? Here are the three. One of them, Sangsinki Jimpa, the lowest kind of giving. Minjikpe Jimpa, second level giving. And Chuki Jimpa, the highest form of giving. You know these already, whether you know the Tibetan or not. Sangsinki Jimpa is giving material wealth. Sangsing is material wealth. But it means food, clothing, shelter, money, the material needs, addressing the material needs of someone who is in need. To be the seed for becoming a hungry ghost, the circumstance would be you become aware of someone who's in need. You have the ability to help them. You have the resources to help them. You have the circumstances to help them. And you just decide not to. And you decide not to out of, a sense of anger, maybe, or jealousy, maybe, or sorry, I'm blanking out. Or being angry with the person. So really it's a kind of ill will. Or somehow thinking inappropriately, I could teach them a lesson. or out of possessiveness for my own resources. If I give to them, I will have less for me. Out of laziness and carelessness. You remember all the things from Bodhisattva vows that play into the different factors? You recognize similar here. We don't create seeds for a craving spirit lifetime when we've got a good reason why we can't or won't or don't give in the face of a situation where someone is in need. Like everybody's in need of something. So there are specific reasons that we have not to give. But if we don't have the resources or we don't have the tools, that's not part of ripening a seed into seeing oneself as a being who cannot get their needs met, right? That's the key with Hungry Ghost realm, is that the experience is you have any kind of need. Mostly it has to do with hunger, but any kind of need, like desperate need, and you just can't get it. You just can't get it. Have you ever, I've had a stretch of experiences where, I don't have real needs. But for instance, like I use peanut butter as my, protein source. And the peanut butter that I want to get, I want just plain peanuts, right? Maybe salt, but no extra oil and sugar and I don't want to pay a lot of money for it. So there was a period of time that I could find a peanut-only peanut butter from Walmart, a great big jar for, I don't know, a really reasonable sum. So, I relied on that peanut butter. And then all of a sudden, Walmart quit carrying it. And then I couldn't find it anywhere else either. And the only peanut butter I could find, was fancy, expensive, organic stuff. And it's like, it's not that important to me. Thank you very much. So I didn't, yeah. And then that went on for a long time. And suddenly in our usual grocery store, its own name brand, so it's the house brand. If you look down on the bottom shelf in the back, they have Kroger's brand peanut butter that's peanuts. And it's like, yay, finally, karma shifted. I couldn't get it before. And like, I didn't do a 4 steps to get peanut butter. I just waited it out, so, but it's like a craving spirit situation. Teeny. But that's the idea. We have a need, we can't get it met to a huge level. We'll talk about it. So it makes sense. If I see somebody who's in need and I just withhold withhold from them, that's going to ripen, is I can't find peanut butter when I want it. Yeah. Or ripe bananas or whatever it's going to be. That's where that comes from. But imagine that being the whole color of your experience in a whole lifetime. Yeah, right? So karmically, we can kind of see. So the second level of not giving is the giving protection. Min jikpe jimpa. Jikpe jimpa means giving. Sorry, min jikpe is giving protection. Jikpe is like fear, to not fear. Min jikpe would be not fear. Giving somebody not fear, meaning not causing them fear. Or if they're in a situation that is fearful, not caused by you, you help them feel protected in some way. And to not do that when we could our own mind is watching. And it's like, well, I don't know, how often do you have the opportunity to jump in the rushing river to save somebody's life and you don't do it? Like, never, probably. But how often do we walk by a flock of birds carelessly and boom, right? They all fly away when we could have, gone across the street, or we could have tiptoed, or we could have been a little more mindful of our seed planting for future craving spirit life avoidance and avoided contributing to somebody's fear. It's a form of giving for someone to feel safe around you. Okay. Third one is Chuki Jimpa, giving Dharma. The highest form of giving, they say, because if you can give somebody, a new idea through which they would choose new behavior, through which they would stop the hammering their big toe, right? Perpetuating pain. There's nothing higher that we can give someone. But technically, that person needs to have their needs met and they need to feel safe in order to have this place to be able to listen to what you have to say. Yeah, otherwise they're too busy protecting their life and surviving. So maybe the highest one we don't even have the opportunity to give the highest giving until we've helped people with the two lesser givings. So to fail to do any of those, plant seeds in our minds such that we become a being, can become a being who just can't get what we want, whether it's food or clothing or safety or protection or spiritual guidance. All right. That's one of the three specific causes that could land us as a craving spirit. Second one is this word, serna. Serna means stinginess, possessiveness. Possessiveness means, my stuff is my stuff, I'll take really good care of it. Stinginess means it is my stuff, you keep away from it. Do you see the difference? So, possessiveness means I'm less likely to share it, but stinginess means this. You can see how the seeds would make me a being who all I ever get from anywhere is, this. If I'm doing that to others in regards to my stuff. There now. Trakdok is, technically the word is jealousy. And jealousy has this really broad range of emotions, if you've noticed. And when it comes in the 10 non-virtues, we call it coveting. Coveting means I want what you have. And I should have what you have, even if it means I should take it from you, right? Or I should be mean to you until I get it. I don't know. It's an ugly state of mind that can't be happy for somebody else having something that we think we deserve better. But it's not limited to just that, is it? It's like someone has any little bit of success and we have this twinge, why not me? We're happy for them. We're not wanting to take it from them, but there's just this little, why them, not me? It's human. It's human to have that. But it makes a seed and it colors our interaction with the other. right? Because there's just a little bit of something between me and them now, because it's like they must be a little better than me. And then that colors how I interact with them. It can be so subtle. Will the subtle ones land us as a hungry ghost if they're the one that pops at the right time? Of course, big ugly jealousy makes us do ugly things to get in the way of the ongoing success of the person we're jealous about. So if we think of it that way, it's like, oh yeah, I see how those seeds could make me into a being where everywhere I go for the success I'm looking for, like food and drink, there's just some kind of block. Somebody gets in the way, something gets in the way out of jealousy. So jealousy doesn't just bring people will be jealous of me. It will bring that, but it could color this whole lifetime where we meet the obstacles that we caused out of our jealousy to somebody else. Get it? So, like, how is it that these three attitudes make could make us into a perception of me constantly hungry, me can't get my needs satisfied, right? It's like we as humans, we do think, I'm human, that's animal, that's something else. But it's hard to relate to a hell being. Does a hell being go, oh, here I am, a hell being, beating my hell being neighbor, right, to a pulp because they're beating me to a pulp? I don't know if they do or not, or if it's our human way of describing somebody else's reality. So this craving spirit could be the same. I don't know that they think to myself, oh man, now I'm a craving spirit. But they're just having the experience. They have a need and they can't get it met, no matter what. And it goes on for a long time. We'll talk about it in a minute. So why? How can this happen? Geshe-la said, don't believe what I'm saying until you have enough personal proof about it. And I certainly hope that your personal proof does not require waiting till you become one, right? But rather, either on authority or on logic, show yourself the possibility. So for his class, he said, how is it that this is even possible? And of course, the answer is lay, karma. In Abhidharma Kosha text, third chapter that we're studying is all existing things. Everything we need to know about how our world exists, from minuscule particles to the big picture to time and space, etc. And then at the end of that chapter, somebody must say, like, where does that all come from? And his fourth chapter is, somebody just asked, where does all this come from? And he opens the fourth chapter with Lele Jikten, that's okay, which means movement of the mind and what it motivates. Karma. Karma makes the myriad worlds. That's what Lele Jikten, not okay means. And then after that, I don't remember. What is karma? Karma is movement of the mind and what it motivates. So where does our yadak, me, come from? Karma. What's karma? Movement of the mind. What it motivates. What do we know about karma? We know the four laws, meaning the four explanations for how karma works, meaning 4 explanations for what happens as we are aware of our me, subject side, thinking, doing, saying something towards an other. Like, how does that work? What's happening between one of those and the next one and the next one and the next one? You want an explanation? These 4 things to know about karma. We know them. Do you know the Tibetan? Le Nyepa. Karma is definite. We'll get back to it. Bel Chewa. Karma grows. Chewa is like how a wildfire grows. Here's a little wildfire. The wind comes, covers acres within, an hour. It's gone kilometers. Chewa. Ma jepa dung ma trepa. A deed not done cannot make a result. Duh, we say. But if we're not getting a result we want, it's because we don't have the seed, or at least we don't have it ripening. And if we are getting a result, we had to have made the seed. Like, why did that drunk driver hit my car in the parking lot? I didn't do anything to him. Okay. But you did do whatever caused that your experience. Okay, can't blame anybody else for our experience. Are there other people involved? Absolutely. Do they have karma? Yes. Are they making karma? Yes. Okay, but our experience is our karma. And then the 4th one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jepa chumisawa means a deed done. A deed done will give a result. A result, not the result. Important English distinction. And we know there's the parenthetical, unless we purify it. A deed done will bring a result. So why are we talking about this? Because we're trying to establish a way of showing ourselves beyond a shadow of a doubt that me experiencing myself as a being who can't get my needs or wants met is possible. It would only be possible if I had made the seeds that had grown into that ripening. Right? Karma is definite. So when we learn karma is definite, the English word sounds like it says karma is true, it's always happening. But that's not what karma is definite means. Karma is definite means it is definite that being aware of ourselves, do something kind, helpful, must bring a result that we find pleasant. And a deed that we perceive ourselves doing that is unkind, hurtful, harmful, gross or subtle, must bring a result that we find unpleasant. And if you think it through, we can understand why that must be true given the other 3 rules, the other 3 explanations. Because it grows, because a deed not done can't give a result, and because a deed done must give a result, that's bigger than the original one, right? It becomes this circle. So if we have seeds that in small ways are ourselves aware of having situations where we could give, but we don't, or we act with jealousy, or what was our other one? We're stingy with our stuff. And those seeds grow. We have the seeds, they grow, and then any one of those happens to be the one that pops at the moment of death, that then calls upon all the others to fill in the details. What would you anticipate your being would be experiencing if everything about that whole lifetime is coming from all these seeds from not giving or stinginess or jealousy? Like, can you predict what it might be like when those seeds ripen? I mean, just think about it. It's like, yeah, I can kind of get a glimpse, right? Others would be constantly obstructing me and my happiness if it was jealousy that put me there, because that's what I did from my jealousy. There would be resources that what I need, but when I get to them, I wouldn't be able to partake of them from withholding when somebody had a need. You see, it makes sense. The seeds can grow into a whole realm of that, just in the way some small seed grew into the whole realm of human me in Earth school. Same way. So we're talking about the 4 laws of karma, not because it only relates to hungry ghosts. It relates to, right? It relates to our next moment and why we experience what we experience moment to moment. And then, of course, it relates to any next life at the end of this one. Okay. Time for a break. Good for me. All right, I'll pause the recording. Get refreshed, please. Pause. Zoom recording. Recording on, resume share. And go back. All right, so if we perceive ourselves doing any of those 4 causes, we could experience ourselves as a hungry ghost lifetime, possibly. It's not a given that we will, but it would become possible. So what 4 causes? The general one of doing any of the 10 non-virtues with medium strength, or not giving the 3 kinds of giving when we have the opportunity, or having this attitude of stinginess. My stuff is my stuff and you keep your hands off it, right? And subtleties of that. And then jealousy. I know I would posit that it's not just feeling jealousy that would land us as a hungry ghost, but acting from that jealousy would make those seeds complete enough to be a whole lifetime. But I don't mean to say, okay, when you're feeling jealous, don't worry about it, right? Because it will go on to make us do stuff if we don't struggle against it. All right, so there are 3 kinds of hungry ghosts, 3 kinds of pretas. your ducks. Are the names of the three. Chi Dripachen, Nangi Dripachen, and Sekam Ki Dripachen. Dripachen means obstacles. Obstacles. Chi, this first kind of hungry ghost, are called beings with obstacles on the outside. Chi Dripachen means obstacles on the outside. They are explained like this. These beings constantly perceive themselves as extremely hungry and thirsty, and they have nothing to eat or drink. And they see in the distance a beautiful lake, and they go, oh, water. And they exert themselves to run to it. And when they get close enough to perceive it clearly, like up close, ready to dive in, it's pus and blood and feces, and they go, ugh. And they look, and in another distance, a lake. Same. Over and over and over again. They see a desirable place. It's gross when they get there. Because of the seed. Seed followed by seeds of this not giving, stinginess, jealousy, or just plain medium strength, harmfulness to others, right? Because of the selfishness involved in that. Light strength is carelessness involved. Heavy strength is like out to do harm. Medium strength is like somewhere in between. It's probably got a big component of me and my needs in order to do any of those 10. Was the lake a lake? And then suddenly it became, a big pile of pus and blood? Was there nothing there at all? No, right? That beings, karmic seeds are shifting, as are ours. And the pattern of their shifting goes from attractive to not. Attractive to not. Okay. Second kind of hungry ghost, Nangi Dripachen. Nangi means inside, obstacles on the inside. So these beings are also extraordinarily hungry and thirsty, but their mouths are like teeny, like the eye of a needle, and their esophagus is like a guitar string, and their bellies are big and round like Santa Claus. And so they can't ever get enough sustenance to go in to satisfy the hunger. They have the goodness to actually have access to food and drink. Their obstacles aren't on the outside. Their obstacles are inside them. It's like so teeny. So no matter how much they partake, can't get ahead of the hunger, the thirst. They have this whole life of being unsatisfiable. Where would that come from? Yeah. My reaction too, Kaya. Oh my gosh. Mm. Third kind of being, Sekam Kidripachen. Sekam means food and drink. So these are beings who have obstacles to food and drink. Well, like they all do. But this is a more specific kind of a experience, apparently. Because they have the food and drink. So they're not going for something that looks nice and it turns to pus and blood. They have the food and drink. They have the mechanism from which they can partake. But when they partake, that food that's supposed to give them sustenance harms them instead, right? It's something, their ice cream cone burns, right? And destroys the delicious salad, just, right? Their obstacle is both, you could say both outside and inside, because it's the food is the food, but when they eat it, it harms them. It causes tremendous suffering. But the thing is, with all three kinds, is they don't die. They don't die of their hunger and thirst. They don't die of their exertion running after the leak. They don't die. They have this karma for apparently like a set period of time. Where did we learn, or have we learned, that in this realm, lifetimes are not set? Do you remember that? Where's that from? Death and the End of Death, practice module. And the implication is there are other places where lifetimes are set. And this is one of them. And apparently, these lifetimes last 500 days. And it's like, oh, that's not so bad. But one of their days is a month of human time. So if you do the math, their 500 days is, I did it, it's like 46 years or something like that. Almost 50 years, 50 human years of a lifetime running after the lake and finding pus and blood. Or hungry, 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 can't get it in. Or eating, eating, pain, pain. Ow, right? And then you wear your seeds out and it shifts. But the likelihood that a Preta being has done any kind of kindness for anybody during that lifetime to add to the goodness that they still have in their karmic pocket is remote. Probably they haven't done much to hurt anybody either, but they probably have seeds of having hurt people in other ways still in their karmic pocket. So it's a good thing when they wear out all their seeds as hungry ghost. But right where they're going to go next is hard to say. It will depend on what seed pops at the moment of the end of that life, after those 50 years human time. Mm. So where are these beings? Like, where is their hungry ghost realm? Like we asked, where is the formless realm? Wherever it is that being died, where is the hungry ghost realm? Those two texts explain that there is a Preta realm below our earth. So it's like, wait a minute. If our earth is round, does it mean inside our earth? Or does it mean underneath our earth? And I don't really know, right? If our earth, who studied the 37 pile mandala, there's the wind disk, and then there's the water disk, and then there's the mountain that comes out of it, and then the 7 mountains, and then the oceans, and blah blah blah. And then inside the outer mountain, there are these 4 continents, and the 4 continents are in the directions, and one of the continents is the southern continent, Zambuling, that's our continent, and there's a hungry ghost realm underneath that continent. And it's like, well, where's Earth? What's Earth? This round thing, this marble, blue marble, where's that? How is that the southern continent, right? It's just like, park it on the shelf for this one, because I can't quite get it straight. The point is, there is a Preta realm somehow related to our world that's under it, that we don't see, we can't reach, right? Because it's below. And then there's a hungry ghost realm. That the text says it's some distance from this one. Way over there. And then there's a hungry ghost realm that actually is all around us. We just can't see them. Like they're at a their existence is at a different frequency, and our eye, ear, nose, taste, touch frequency doesn't match. So we can't see them, except sometimes at night, apparently. People get glimpses of the nearby hungry ghosts. Probably there are some people who have some kind of awareness of them. And no, in our Western culture, we don't talk about hungry ghosts. We don't have that concept so much, but we do have the idea of ghosts or spirits, and they aren't always benevolent. Sometimes they are. I don't know much about what my culture believes in them. But growing up, I wasn't thinking about them being like a, a person's mind stream that I maybe knew once upon a time, right? Or who could benefit from some help from me, or maybe I could even somehow make a contact with them so that I could help them, get to a better place at the end of their Preta realm, or maybe even help them get out sooner, or I don't know what. But that's why we're learning about them, partly to learn what karmic seeds could land us there so that we could avoid it, and partly to increase our awareness of who is all sentient beings, that we are growing the wish to help stop their suffering. Got it? At one point, apparently somebody asked Lord Buddha about this going to a higher rebirth or a lower rebirth. And he took his finger and like did this against his cushion, right? You know how you do that to show how much dust is there? So he goes like this on the ground of where his cushion is, and he holds up his finger and he says, the amount of dust on my finger is like the amount of beings that will go to a higher rebirth at the end of this life. And all the dust in all of Earth is like the number of beings who are going to a lower rebirth. Oh, right. All right, so we still need to talk about animals. The Tenrim Chemo and Lamrim Chemo say there's a general cause for taking life as an animal. An animal in general, the specific kind of animal would be related to the seeds that fill in the details. Right? So a certain seed ripens at the moment of death, and that's headed us towards animal realm. The seeds that follow with it, elephant, gnat, right, skunk, it could be anything. So the general cause for rebirth as life as an animal is doing any of the 10 non-virtues to a lesser extent. So doing any of those 10 virtues, non-virtues, accidentally or carelessly, meaning with unclear intent, or not towards an important object, or not repeatedly, would be the seeds of doing them to a lesser degree. If you recognize those 4 categories, they're the opposite of what makes karma more powerful. Right? So making karmas in these not powerful way, negative karmas in a not powerful way, any one of those seeds ripening at the wrong or right moment will make us see ourselves as animal, meaning the subject side is the state of mind of the animal. Then there are 2 specific causes for animal rebirth. One of them, they say, is to consistently and repeatedly break minor rules, like habitually telling white lies, habitually hurting somebody's feelings, right? Habitually. And again, if we're thinking karmically, it makes sense. Animals operate on instinct, right? On automatic pilot. They don't have the capacity to stop and think, what's the kindest thing I can do right now? They don't have that capacity. Even the most intelligent of them, it doesn't, right? They don't have the capacity for it to occur to them that morality is necessary. That's unique to human. Without that capacity, we don't make moral choices. Animals do kind things. I'm not saying they don't, but they don't do the kindness to be kind. Their instinct makes them do that thing. Yeah. And so it's sort of this automatic pilot state of mind. And what will put us into that as our whole being is automatic pilot state of mind, EGADS, right? A lot of that going on. And then the second specific cause for animal realm is doing a great many minor wrong deeds, such as disrespecting others. Like they say, any minor wrong deed repeatedly. Like we have 2 of them here about that. But then this one says specifically disrespecting others. And again, we can see why. Animals are consistently disrespected by other animals. Guess what? Their lunch. And to humans, they are lesser beings. So to be aware of ourselves interacting with another from a state of mind of that other is somehow lesser. That's what disrespect means. Can be planting seeds that if it ripens could ripen us as us being the one who's constantly disrespected. You know, when we learn about all of these different realms, we can see how similar seeds could ripen as a human, but with these circumstances that could have been a hell realm, a hungry ghost, an animal realm, but actually they are a human unable to get their needs met. There are such, right? There are humans in the position of just constantly disrespected by others. There are humans in the position of not actually able to change their behavior. We can make a case for these different realms are not entirely different realms. They are different human experiences. And it is true that we could have a seed projecting karma be good enough to push us into a human realm. But the circumstances of that seed, like the seeds it's dragging along behind it, are seeds that if they had popped instead of this one, that being would have been animal. And now instead, they're a human with all the same circumstances an animal would have had, which is constant disrespect. Always the lower, you know, slave, can't get a high-paying job, just used and abused, human. But human, with the capacity to change it, if they can ever get feeling safe enough and having enough resources that they're not in survival mode to be able to meet a spiritual path that could help them. We tend to think, oh, animal realm, they're so in nature, they're probably feeling at one with all life all the time. And these teachings say, get real. No, they are constantly on alert to eat or be eaten. Animals are constantly aware that they must be vigilant, like their life is in danger constantly. And if that's not the case, and they have the circumstance of being under the care of humans, probably meaning domesticated mostly, they still are under somebody's control. Many of them are in the situation that they are still used and abused or eaten. Okay? And even if they have the karmic goodness to be your pet cat, they still are restricted by you, right? You call it your care of them. And of course, they enjoy the pleasures, but they still do not have the freedom, nor do they have the capacity to choose differently. Yeah. So animal realm is a lower realm. Even the animal who, you know, is the Dalai Lama's dog, the best animal karma you could have, but still dog. The scriptures say there are 360 million species of animal on our planet. I asked the omniscient Google, how many species of planet are there? And it said this illogical thing. There's 8.7 million species, 7.7 million of them are animals, but only 950,000 of them have been described. And it's like, wait a minute. How can you count 8.7 million of things you don't know what they are and call them animals? It's like, cross that out. Google doesn't know what it's talking about. But 950,000 described species of animal. That's a lot. Even if it's less than 360 million that scripture says. And then they say there's 80,000 species alone that live on or in the human body. And so I Googled that as well. And it says that we know of 10,000 different species that live in or on the human body. So it sounds like we have more to learn about. But I love thinking about that, actually, because like karmically, you already are the caretaker of like trillions. They say there's more foreign DNA in you than your own cellular DNA by a lot. So it's like we're feeding this whole universe of beings. We're taking care of them. We're providing them with life. It's really a cool idea. If we like, I rejoice in all those beings that like I'm the uber existence for. I'm their Buddha. Like they probably pray to, right? They probably pray to God, right? The God of the parasite in my intestine. And it's me they're talking about. It sounds silly, but karmically speaking, it gets us a little closer to maybe what we mean by I want to stand on a billion worlds and save everybody. The words sound great, but look, you're already the place where trillions of beings live. So take care of them. Like feed them good food. Not too much, not too little. Give them a chance to rest. I don't know, you can think about it. So animals live in two places, apparently. Jingna Nepa and Katorwa. Jingna Nepa means warm waters, Jingna, and Nepa means in the middle. They live in the middle of warm waters. Doesn't that sound nice? Meaning the vast majority of the animal realm lives in water, in the oceans, the lakes, the streams, the water of our continent. So there are more animals in the ocean than the other place. You can guess where the other place is. Katorwa means spread out all over the planet. So the second place animals are the land animals, but that also means the air animals because they need to use land as well. So we've got water-based animals and land and air-based animals. And every planet that has life, which isn't all of them, has the same structure as ours in terms of the realms. They have a hell realm. They have hungry ghost realms. They have animal realms. They have human realms, but they're not necessarily these kind of humans, but they're still human. They have pleasure beings and partial pleasure beings. And they have bardoas, beings that are in between, all of those, in the process of moving from one to the next. So if the teaching on emptiness is true, which tells us that everything is projections of our minds forced by karmic results, then it is plausible that we could perceive ourselves as one of these beings in the instant of a karmic seed shift. It's possible. Just a shift in projection is all it takes. Shifting projections is all it takes to sustain our life as well. That's what we're experiencing. How much human me do we have in our pocket? We don't know. How much 10 non-virtues do we have in our karmic pocket? Can't really know from past lives. We can think, what have I been like in this life? We can look at the circumstances of our outer world, which is a reflection, right, of seeds that we have. As we experience things, we burn them off. Yeah, so we've burned off a lot of hell realm, hungry ghost, animal realm seeds by not responding in kind to those circumstances. And we're planting new seeds constantly. And we now have the tool of purification. And we have the tool of the 4 steps, how to plant our seeds more strongly, the ones we want. We have the tool of rejoicing practice to give strength to the good ones that we know we have. And we have the power of dedicating to lock the good ones in the trajectory of our spiritual path. So we're gaining all the tools. We can keep our tools in our toolbox and not use them, or we can use them, right? We can become a good, skillful carpenter and be using our tools constantly. All right, we're learning how to do so. Okay. Craving spirits and animals. How to not become one. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We may or may not ever sit down and teach them a class like this. But having come to hear this class, motivated to become one who can help that other stop their suffering forever, has in fact set that ball in motion. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. They see your progress better than you do, probably. They love you so much. And so feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness, asking them to please stay close, to continue to help you. See them happily accept your offering. They bless it, and they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with happiness, filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom. They don't know where it comes from. Doesn't matter. They shine it forth to everyone in their world. And may it be so. Yay. Okay.